In the shadows of history, a question lingers. What happens when a dream of democracy turns into a nightmare of division? The Spanish Civil War, a conflict ignited not by bullets, but by ballots, began in April 1931 when the people of Spain, fueled by years of unrest, cast their votes to end centuries of monarchic rule. King Alfonso XIII fled, and the Second Spanish Republic emerged like a phoenix, promising a new dawn. But dreams quickly collided with the harsh reality of a fractured nation. As the sun rose on this bold new era, it illuminated both hope and despair. The promise of land reform and women's rights met the fury of landowners and clergy who felt the ground slipping beneath them. The air thickened with tension as Spain became a simmering cauldron, its streets filled with protests and strikes. Liberal and conservative forces pulled in opposite directions, each election resetting the clock on progress. Trust disintegrated like dry leaves in the wind. Extremism began to flourish, and whispers of dissent echoed through the streets. As politicians bickered in the halls of Parliament, shadows deepened around them, hiding men with rifles who believed that democracy was not a solution, but a threat. The country, once brimming with possibility, was now poised on a knife's edge, teetering toward chaos. Then, on the night of July 17, 1936, the unthinkable happened. General Emilio Mola and the cold, calculating Francisco Franco orchestrated a coup d'etat with the cold precision of a surgeon preparing for a life-altering operation. But the country did not surrender quietly. It exploded into a violent frenzy. The military splintered, half joined the rebels, while the other remained loyal to the Republic. Cities became battlegrounds, neighborhoods torn apart by ideology. Republican militias, composed of workers, students, and even poets, grabbed whatever weapons they could find. Spain had crossed the threshold from the brink of war into full-blown chaos. This was no ordinary civil war. There were no clear uniforms or defined battle lines. Civilians transformed into combatants overnight, their fates intertwined with the banners they bore. In this new world, a man's life could revolve around the choice of a Bible or a Union card. Ancient grudges resurfaced, igniting a wildfire of violence. Churches burned like autumn leaves, priests and educators fell to gunfire, and justice became a mirage replaced by fear and vengeance. Spain morphed into a battleground of ideals, and the eyes of the world watched closely, sensing the enormity of what was unfolding. The war in Spain was no longer just a national conflict. It had morphed into a global spectacle, a prelude to a much larger confrontation. As the dust settled from the failed coup, foreign powers positioned themselves like chess players preparing for the endgame. Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy swiftly intervened, transforming Spain into a testing ground for their military ambitions. Tanks rumbled in the streets, while planes blotted out the sun, dropping bombs designed not for strategy, but to instill terror. Guernica became the tragic emblem of this brutal experiment, where the devastating air raid was engineered to showcase unbridled destruction. On that fateful day in Guernica, a serene market turned into a cacophony of chaos. As families ventured out to buy fresh produce, the sky turned sinister, the hum of engines rising in a menacing crescendo. At 4:30 p.m., the German bombers descended, raining fire upon the unsuspecting town. For 3 relentless hours, the world bore witness to chaos and horror. Civilians scrambled for safety, but there was none to be found. By nightfall, Guernica lay in ruins, its 1,600 inhabitants caught in the crosshairs of a brutal new weapon of war, a message written in ash and blood. The ashes of Guernica spoke louder than the rumbling aircraft. Pablo Picasso, witnessing the horror, immortalized the tragedy in his iconic painting, Guernica. A cry frozen in oil and canvas, it depicted the grotesque realities of war. The twisted bodies, screaming horses, and broken mothers became symbols of the ugly face of fascism. Guernica was not merely a tragedy. It was a dire warning about the corrosive effects of totalitarianism on humanity. Yet, the world largely ignored its haunting echo. In the depths of this conflict, a war of shadows unfurled, weaving a tapestry of deception, propaganda, and betrayal. Both sides recognized that the battlefield extended beyond the conventional arenas of warfare. Propaganda became an insidious weapon, sprouting murals in Republican Spain that urged the people to rise and resist, cloaked in an irony as the Republic began to fracture from within. Tensions festered between communists, anarchists, and socialists, once allies, now turned adversaries under the watchful gaze of Stalin's agents, who hunted down those they perceived as threats. Meanwhile, Franco's nationalists wielded their narrative with brutal efficiency. Radios echoed promises of order and tradition as priests declared the war a holy crusade. Dissenters disappeared, their names erasing into the shadows of history. Foreign journalists sought the truth amidst the chaos. Some, like George Orwell, came to fight only to find betrayal lurking in the ranks. Others, such as Ernest Hemingway, observed the unraveling soul of Spain, torn apart not only by fascism, but by the very forces rising to combat it. This was a civil war, yes, but it also marked a deep civil unraveling. As 1938 dawned, the tide of the conflict became alarmingly clear. Franco had transformed from a mere general into a formidable symbol of ruthless power and grim discipline. With each passing day, the Republic's allies dwindled, their hope waning as Franco's forces grew stronger, bolstered by Nazi bombers and fascist soldiers. Each Republican stronghold fell one by one, and when the heart of Catalonia, Barcelona, succumbed in early 1939, it was not just a loss, it was a heart-wrenching blow to the dream of a free Spain. The last bastion of hope, Madrid, clung to survival, yet with food and morale evaporating, the Republic fought an uphill battle. Exhaustion, rather than a final clash, brought the Republic to its knees. The world had turned its back, afraid to provoke the encroaching storm of Nazi Germany. Neutrality became a cloak of indifference, leaving the Republic abandoned and broken. On April 1st, 1939, Franco stood triumphant, declaring victory. But for Spain, the nightmare had only begun. The aftermath rolled in like a shroud, heavy and unyielding. Franco's victory birthed a silence that fell like a dark curtain over the country. He called it reunification, but it was, in truth, a suffocating repression where prisons swelled with former Republicans and thousands fled into exile. The vibrant culture of the Second Republic, the free press, the progressive rights for women, was obliterated overnight under the iron fist of a regime that aligned itself with the Catholic Church, drowning the nation in censorship and fear. Spain became a country frozen in time, shackled by ancient fears of the 15th century as the scars of war remained fresh. With each passing day, the spirit of a once vibrant nation was snuffed out, leaving behind a hollow shell. The echoes of bravery, idealism, and tragedy continued to resonate through the ruins, whispers of what could have been. The world had watched in silence, but now the time for silence is over. Let us not forget. Remember the lessons of history where the fight for freedom can easily slip into shadows and the price of democracy can be steep. Share this story, illuminate the past, and ensure that the echoes of Spain's struggle resonate through time. Stand for truth, for justice, and for those who fought in the name of freedom. Lest we repeat the mistakes of yesterday, join the conversation, share, comment, and keep the memory alive.